Hello, this is Todd Keel with OMW Communications. Today we are training on the NEC SV9100 configured with either a T1 PRI or SIP trunks. Any other configuration without individual line appearances. Starting at the top of the telephone, on your display panel, it is adjustable frontwards and backwards. If you want to adjust the contrast on your display while your telephone is idle, the volume up and down keys will make it lighter and darker. Your message waiting light is at the top of the telephone. It will blink when there's a message in your mailbox. It'll also flash when there's an incoming call ringing your phone or if a coworker is intercomming your phone. So if you have your ring volume turned low, you still have a visual indicator that there's a live or active call there. On the display itself, it shows the date and time, your extension number, and your extension name, and will tell you what's happening with your phone at any given time, whether it's an incoming call, a call transfer from a coworker, and caller ID name and number will show there as well. On the bottom line of the display, there's 4 soft touch keys that correspond with the bottom line of the display. That portion of the display is constantly changing depending on what you're doing, giving you shortcuts and options. On my default screen, that first button is labeled List. When I press List, it gives me 2 more options, Redial and CID for caller ID. I can select caller ID, it'll give me an arrow up and an arrow down, and let me scroll to the last 50 incoming calls that I talked to at that extension. If I press List and Redial, it'll let me scroll through the last 50 outgoing calls that I made. So I can scroll through that information by pressing List, CID, arrow up, arrow down. When I lift the handset, it calls that person back. So my List button is my call history button. The next button over on my default screen is Directory. There's different types of directories. There's abbreviated dial directory, which allows me to store up to 10,000 numbers in my system-wide speed dial and act as a Rolodex. Or there's an extension directory, EXT, where I can search for a coworker's extension number, and there again, it'll ask me to dial the first person's or the first letter of the person's name, and then I can scroll through with the arrows and find the party I want, lift the handset, it calls them back. My V message button on the third button is how I access my voicemail box. We'll talk more about voicemail in a bit. Now that fourth button on my soft touch keys will always give me an arrow pointing down, or it'll say more, letting me know that there's possibly a second or a third page of some lesser used features that I can access. So keep an eye on the display. It is there to offer you shortcuts and options depending on what you're doing at any given time. On the function keys themselves, our first button is labeled Call 1, our second button is Call 2. Whenever I'm on an active call with someone in the outside world, my Call 1 light is lit up. If I need to put them on hold by pressing the orange hold button, it will flash under that button. And I can press that button to pick that call back up. If I'm on an active call with someone and another call comes into my extension, it'll appear on call 2. So I can put my first call on hold and take my second call and go back and forth between those 2 calls. Or I could simply ignore it, and after 16 seconds it will delay to my voicemail box. So what will happen is when I'm on an active call, another call comes in, my phone will make a tone, my light up on top of my phone will blink, just loud enough to let me know there's an active call, and let me see the caller ID information and decide, do I want to take that call or ignore it and let my voicemail box get it. Alright, we've got a couple of park buttons. Our park buttons are community hold keys. When I put a call on hold on one of my call 1 or call 2 keys, it's on hold at my phone and my phone only. Nobody else can pick up that call. If I want to park that call and go down the hallway and pick it up at another extension, or park that call and make a page for a coworker to pick up that call, I'll use my park buttons. My park buttons are community hold buttons, if you will. So when I'm on an active call and I touch the park button, that park light will flash on all the other phones on campus. And then once that park button is pressed from another extension, they pull that call out of that parking spot and they're on that call active. So we've got 2 park buttons on every phone. And the button to the sixth button over is a labeled page. Okay, that's how I'm going to access my page system. When I press page, I'm accessing my amplifiers and my speakers, and I'm broadcasting my page. Above the page button, there's a record key. All right, when I'm on an active call with someone, I have the ability to record that conversation. So when I press the record button, it'll record that conversation and put it in my voicemail box. As with any other voicemail message that's in my mailbox or recorded conversation, it will also show up in my email inbox. So when I check my emails, my voicemail messages are mixed in with the email messages. So on the subject line, I'll see voice message from, caller ID, name, number, time, date, and a paperclip attachment with that WAV file. So if I want to record a conversation and save it for future use, I can drop it into a customer file or a job file and delete it out of my mailbox proper. Now everybody else has open buttons on their phone, whether it's 16 or 7, depending on your configuration and the style of phone. This is a 24 button phone. Some of you have a 12 button phone. We left those buttons for you to program what you feel necessary under those buttons. So if you refer to your one-page cheat sheet, there is a section on programming buttons. So you can program a coworker under those buttons. So if you take a look at your position and you say, well, there's a handful of people I work with on a daily basis, I want to have a button for each of those people. Feel free to program those coworker buttons, and then when they're on the phone, their light will light up, and instead of dialing their extension number, you can just push their button. The label cover pops off. You can handwrite what you want under those labels, and then we can print up new labels anytime. You'll have software and blank labels to print up. So we can store coworker buttons under those keys, outside speed dial numbers under those keys. Perhaps you want a forward to cell phone button under a button. So when you get up from your desk, you push forward to cell. It routes all your calls to your cell phone. All right. Maybe you're in human resources and you want to have a do not disturb button. Or you have a headset at your extension, you'll want to program a headset button. So we use the first 7 buttons, but we left the rest of the buttons open for you to determine what do you want to use under those buttons. So as you're programming buttons, you'll want to document on that paper label what you have stored under those buttons. If you were to forget, there is a help button up here in the upper right hand corner. You can push help and touch any button on your phone, and the display will tell you what's programmed under that button. And then on the left hand side, we have an exit button that brings us back to our normal screen. All right, some of the fixed buttons on the phones, we talked about the hold key for putting an active call on hold, and which will flash under my call 1 or my call 2 keys. There's a transfer button on the bottom of the phone. If I'm on an active call, I can press transfer and dial an extension. Okay, I can either hang up to release that call, or I can announce the call and then hang up, and that caller will be connected to the other party. Speakerphone button is on the bottom of the phone. Those are full duplex speakerphones, which means both parties can talk at the same time. So when I'm on an active call, they can hear me. My microphone light is lit by default, and if I need to cough or sneeze or whatnot, I can push that microphone and turn that light off, and now they cannot hear me. Light on, mic on. So I tell folks just to leave that microphone light on all the time. Next to the microphone light, there's an answer key. The answer button will flash every time your phone rings. Where that comes into play is if I'm on my call 1 and another call comes in, I can press that answer button. It'll automatically put my first call on hold and connect me to my second call. All right, and then I can go back and forth using the hold key to go between my call 1 and my call 2. The recall and the feature button we can ignore for this application. On the bottom right hand corner, that circular pad is our volume up and down. While my phone is physically ringing, I can adjust my ring volume. While I'm on my handset, I can adjust my handset volume. While I'm on speakerphone, I can adjust how loud I want my speakerphone volume to be. If pages come over my phone, while that page is active, I can adjust that speaker volume as well, so it's not so loud. On the left-hand side of that circular pad is a redial key. That's just our traditional last number redial. When I press redial and lift the handset, it will call that person back. On the right-hand side, that little telephone book-looking icon, that is a directory button. It's the same as accessing my directory on my soft touch key. All right, so to review our one-page cheat sheet, if I want to make an outside call, I can pick up the handset, dial 9 and go. If I want to call someone internally, and when I say internally, I mean on campus and any of the other American Excelsior campuses, I can pick up and dial their 4-digit extension number, 3-digit extension number, I'm sorry. So dial that 3-digit extension number. If I want to transfer a call to someone, I can press transfer and dial their extension number, hang up to release it, or announce the call and release it. If I want to transfer a call to a coworker's mailbox without ringing their phone first, I can press transfer, vMessage, and their extension number, or their button if I have them stored under a hotkey. And then I can hang up the phone and it goes into their voicemail box directly. If I want to leave a coworker a voicemail message, I can dial their extension number or push their button and just press vMessage and it'll jump right into their voicemail box. Anything you see in bold type on my cheat sheets reminds you to look up at the display for the soft touch keys. Okay, for instance, making a conference call. While I'm on with an active call, the first button on my display will say conference, C-O-N-F, so I can press conference. Now I can dial 9 for another outside party, and it'll give me the option to add them to the conference, and then it'll say begin, to begin the conference. So I can be talking to someone in the outside world, I press conference. I dial a coworker's extension, I press add. I dial another coworker's extension, I press add. When I'm ready to join the crew together, I press begin, and we're all together. That's my conference call. Now, talking about your voicemail box, there's a separate cheat sheet you should have in front of you for your voicemail box. Voicemail box, there's 3 things you need to do to set up your voicemail box. Record a greeting for your mailbox, record a name for your mailbox, and set up a security code for your mailbox. You'll notice when you access your voicemail box that all the verbal prompts that she'll give you are tailored towards the alphabet on the keypad as if you're texting. All right, G for greeting, R to record, L to listen, okay, D to delete, E to erase. Those options will also be under your soft touch keys. So you can use a combination or either one of those. So when you get into your voicemail box, the first thing it's going to say is how many messages you have. The message count will stay up on your display, all right, and it's going to give you the option to listen to those messages. When I access my voicemail box,
you have no new
I can press
messages.
greeting.
To leave a message, the greeting that is currently active is number 1. Please enter the number 1,
I can press
2,
greeting 1, 2, or 3,
for the
or
greeting
1,
which
2,
is to
or
be
3.
active. To exit this feature,
There's 3 greetings for each voicemail box, and you can activate whatever greeting you deem necessary. Perhaps greeting number 1 is, hi, this is Todd, I can't take your call right now. Greeting number 2 is, hi, this is Todd, I'm out of the office today. Greeting number 3 is, hi, this is Todd, I'm out for the rest of the week. And you can turn on whatever greeting applies to your situation. So when you press greeting and you select greeting number 1, it'll give you the option to record that greeting, to listen to your existing greeting, or to delete that greeting. So we do want to record at least greeting number 1 as a standard default greeting, and you can change it as you deem necessary. The next thing we want to do is record a name for our mailbox. Okay, and that's just a name stamp, Todd Keel. All right, why do we need a name in our mailbox? Well, when a coworker leaves me a message and they dial my extension number and press vMessage, it'll say at the tone, leave your message for Todd Keel. That way they don't have to listen to my greeting. But the most important reason is we're offering our outside callers the option for a dial by name directory. So when they call in and it says, thank you for calling, if you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. For a dial by name directory, press this. When they press this, it's going to say, please enter in 2 or more letters of the person's name, starting with their first name. So when they key in T-O, it'll say, for Todd Keel, dial this. For Tony Hawk, dial this. For Tom Jones, dial this. And help route that caller to the correct destination. So it's very important that we all have names in our mailbox so it just doesn't play our default extension number. And finally, we want to have a security code in our voicemail box. Our security codes are 4 digits, no more, no less. So once we enter in our security code, it'll read back our security code and say, your new security code is 4567. And then she'll prompt you, To require that your security code be entered from your extension, press required or not required. And what that means is it's kind of a pain to have to enter my security code every time I get into my voicemail box. So I can tell my voicemail box, when I get into my mailbox from my extension, don't ask for security code. But if any of my coworkers or someone in the outside world tries to get into my mailbox, mandate a security code. So record your greeting, record your name, set up your security code, and then you're ready for action. So like I said, all the commands in voicemail are tailored towards the alphabet on the keypad. So most of the time you're going to get into your mailbox to listen to your voicemail messages. So when you get into your mailbox, it's going to say you have X amount of messages. To listen to your messages, press L, or it'll say listen up top. And while you're listening to a voicemail message, there's a few things you can do. If I didn't catch someone's name, I can press B to back up a few seconds. Or up top it'll say REW for rewind. Alright, if I want to start over, I can press BB to go back to the beginning. If someone's going blah blah blah, life story, blah blah blah, I press G to go ahead. MF is for message forward. If I have a recorded conversation or perhaps a voicemail message in my mailbox and I want to forward a copy of it to a coworker while I'm listening to that message, I can press MF. It'll then prompt me, would you like to record a greeting to this or an introduction to this message? If yes, do so at the tone. If no, press the pound key. So I'm able to record a message. Hi Ron, this is a message that was left in my mailbox. Can you listen to it and we'll talk about it at our next sales meeting. And then it'll prompt me, please enter in the extension of the party you wish to forward this to. And then you can send it that way. So it's making a copy and giving it to a coworker. You still have to delete it out of your mailbox if you want it gone. Or since it's a WAV file in your email box, you could simply just forward that email if that's easier for you as well.